We're going to have to come up with answers that set politics aside.
Oh,
they don't hear us.
They don't hear us.
They don't hear us.
Telling them, but they ain't listening.
I'm from Port-au-Prince, Haiti, and they don't hear us.
We're gonna bring you some stuff that's gonna make you feel better. They don't hear us.
They don't hear us!
Hey, and shout out to the folks who are covering this coalition, because they don't hear us.
Hi, my name is Benjamin Turnier. I'm joining this movement because I'm trying to get my voting rights back. I've been out of the penitentiary for over 20 years and keep me to run around and come out here and maybe in Arizona, interstate, come back to Tennessee, so I want me back and forth.
And so where are you from?
I paroled out here to Tennessee. I've been here since 2003.
Okay.
But I've been trying to get my voting rights back. Now, I did a deposition for it with the governor's attorney and stuff like that. Right after that deposition, they changed the law. So now I got to get all my rights back, but they keep trying to bounce me back to Arizona. Arizona keeps bouncing me back to Tennessee because I interstate compact years old. I'm actually property in Tennessee. But I've been out parole since 2003.
And listen to that word you said, you're property of Tennessee.
Well, that's what it was when you're on parole.
Right.
They just changed it from Arizona to here to by parole.
Yeah, but ain't that crazy how they say that you're property? Like,
right. It's just they take your rights away, your property.
Mm-hmm.
In the what do you want to call it? The business side of it, or the human rights side of it. You don't have human rights no more.
Right. So they don't just belittle you while you're in there.
No.
Incarcerated. It even follows you.
I've been out 20 years. No charges, no crimes. Working, paying taxes. I don't have no problem not voting.
Right.
If they're not gonna let me vote, then they shouldn't be taking my taxes.
I'm in the same position, and I said the same thing. That's crazy.
I make $100,000 a year, or $700,000 a year. So all that taxes I pay should be going back to my pocket if I can't enforce my opinion. In my opinion.
No, exactly. I agree.
I was gonna say my opinion because it gets me in trouble if I don't.
But yes, I just want to open it up to y'all. Anybody have any questions, comments, concerns, thoughts?
You were talking about in Arizona, at least it was easier, I guess, after you got out to get your voting rights back. But I've met people that have murdered people and then served their time and went out and then became productive citizens. Mm-hmm. And sometimes you get people that go back out and they're no better than they were before they went in. And the one thing I think about how the bill was written, where you have a 3-year period to see, hey, see how he does. Mm-hmm. Is he doing becoming a productive citizen or not? I think that's a reasonable thing to ask. And I don't, if the man's done their time, mm-hmm. why should he be paying on beyond that time?
Right. I mean, and that is, one of our talking points. But I think that, some of the things that we have to overcome is, these are, these people committed serious offenses, And I mean, I guess in the grand scheme of things, when you look at it on the chart, where they talk about which, offenses are, A and B offenses. Most of these are A and B offenses. So I guess, yes, they are serious offenses. But, there are some other offenses on there as well, too, that, that's kind of like caught up with that. But, which I don't think is their concern. I think the concern is, any degree of murder, rape, treason, stuff like that, whatever. Which, I mean, I don't know. I'd love for somebody to see if anybody in Tennessee is actually in charge of treason. But yeah, anybody else have any thoughts? Yes, Reggie.
Honestly, I haven't been to a lot of the meetings and stuff, so I feel like I'm kind of behind on the knowledge. And they say, unless you don't know how to proceed. And so, can you explain to me a little bit about the bill that we're going over here for?
Yes, so our bill, it's a rights restoration bill. And so currently, right now, the way the process is that you have to have paid any outstanding court costs, any restitution that you had with your case. You have to be current on your child support and, of course, have finished your sentence, right? We're the only state that requires anybody to be current on child support when they're wanting to get their voting rights back. We are number 2 in the entire United States with the number of people that were disenfranchised, so 471,000 individuals, here in this state. So our bill is to remove some of those barriers. So our bill, the first part of it is to totally get rid of court costs. So that will no longer be a factor, right? Because, we do know folks who have really, really high amounts of court costs. And so it would get rid of that. 2, the way that we have had to work the child support part is that it wouldn't just be like current on your child support, because we know that a lot of people have arrearage. And so it would allow those folks who are making payments on arrearage as well as their, active child support order to be able to get their voting rights back. And then also it would allow the people who are permanently barred in the state of Tennessee, because we do that, right? Like, so people who have murder convictions, people, like it's any degree of murder, rape of a child, treason, and then there's tons and tons and tons of them. And so we are saying that once that person completes their sentence, and then 3 years after they have completed their sentence, then those people would be able to vote. And so that's what we're talking about, is that piece there. Because when Dawn and I went over there yesterday, our bill sponsor, because she saw these offenses and, was just like, I don't know how the committee is going to feel about this, took them out of the amendment. And Dawn was very adamant and was just like, no, we need to keep these in. And so that's the reason why our bill is not going to be heard today, because amendments have to be filed over there by a certain time. And because we are saying, like, no, we don't want to go forward with what the amendment that you filed, so we are going to have to do what we call is rolling the bill to next week, so that the amendment that we want is going to be on the bill.
And so do you think that it's the politics of it sometimes? And not saying in this particular situation, but do you see that, like, politics being played, like, they can try to pull this out so they can push the bill?
Well, I mean, you think about, like, how can I pass my bill, right? What's the path of least resistance? And of course, removing that out is the path of least resistance, right? But, we don't operate in the path of least resistance, in this movement. So yeah, so that was what our bill sponsor was wanting to do, was the path of least resistance, but, Dawn stood firm and, that we don't leave people behind, and was just like, no, like, we're gonna keep this in. So yeah, so like I said, just wanting to get different perspectives from folks about, like I said, just that piece of the bill. Yes, ma'am, Ms. Sheila.
So, you're pretty certain that the bill will be able to be rolled out by next week?
Mm-hmm. So I think the plan is to roll it, like, I don't know if it's like roll it to the heel or roll it to the end of the calendar. And then we're going to have it put back on notice. Well, as long as you have them put it back on notice by a certain time, then it'll be on that calendar, right? And so they have our amendment, so all they have to do is just put that on notice is all that they have to do. Yeah. Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, I have a question. Restitution. Can you explain that to me?
Yeah, so that was another part, I'm sorry, I think I left that off. Restitution. So we have tried so many ways to deal with the restitution piece of this, right? Like last year and everything. And, that seems to be a stickler for a lot of them, is that they consider restitution part of your sentence. And so they want people to pay their restitution and don't think that people should get their voting rights back until they have, you know, made the victim whole. And so, you know, we're constantly working and thinking about, you know, what we can do with that, right?
Can I give her an example?
Yeah.
When I had restitution on me from, that they found out in these microfiche files, I think it was because of a pair of skis I had stolen from somebody. Well, they wanted their skis back, or they wanted the money to go out and get a new pair of skis. That was part of my restitution. You know, do my time, do my probation for doing the act, and I should pay for the new pair of skis.
Okay, oh, I still need this explain. I want to be clear on this. All right, you're released from prison, jail, whatever, and then you have to repay for something that you stole. So that means that you have to do what? You have to get a job, or do the system have work where they can say, okay, you can come here and do this work, pick up garbage or whatever it is, and then that's your way of paying.
No, it's an actual cash payment.
Cash
So,
payment. But you got to get the money. You got to
Yeah, I
get
have
a
to get
job.
the money, right, yeah.
You got to get it. That's what I'm asking. Do they have jobs when you are released? There's no jobs.
Yeah, I'm in a position where I can't work anymore either.
Yeah, and I mean, and again, and so it's just like when we're talking about, you know, restitution, trying to get them to understand, you know, what that is and what that means to people, you know, but, you know, I mean, again, we've tried and, you know, we're not going to give up, but, you know, the restitution piece is the hardest piece there, right? And so we are trying to be creative with, you know, how we think about this and how we propose it. Because, you know, the thing is that what doesn't work is going in there and saying, well, y'all don't provide jobs for people when they get out of jail and prison anyway, so how are they going to get money, you know what I'm saying, to pay the restitution? That's not going to work, right? Because their thing is that it's your responsibility, and it's not on them to provide jobs for people, you know what I'm saying? So, I mean, and that's why I say, you know, we have to be strategic, you know, with our language, with our arguments and stuff like that, because, you know, if we just go in there and, you know, turn this all on them and say, well, you don't do this and you don't do this, so how can they, you know, like, that's not going to win us anything, right? Even with the, you know what I'm saying, with the child support piece, right? Same thing. But, you know, it's just like, what's your kid? It's your responsibility. You've got to pay it. You know what I'm saying? It's not up to me to find you a job. I didn't tell you to go out here and to commit this offense that you committed. You know what I'm saying? Like, so, you know, so that's the thing. That's going to be their pushback on that. And that's going to shut the door really quickly on any type of, you know what I'm saying, conversations that you're going to have with them.
Okay, I'm still not clear on this, but I see, you know, I live in one of the hoods of the county that I'm from right now, and I see so much blight. And I ask myself, why is it we have all of this blight, and then we have people receiving monies, and they're not, say, punching a clock, and taxpayers, money's taken out of taxpayers' money, you know. I work for Chrysler, and I paid over $30,000 a year just in federal taxes, you know. So employee paying over $30,000 a year. Now you have people that's not punching a clock, and all of the, why can't there be all of this blight, pick up trash, at least 1 week out of the month or something? Why can't they be assigned to do something to help pay for? I mean, every month they get a check, $800, $900, $1,100, they get a check. They just go to the mailbox and get a check. Why can't they help pick up this blight that most of them are putting on the ground?
Well, I mean,
I don't understand that.
So restitution is part of what the judge gives you with your sentence. What you're talking about is what we call community service, right? And it has to be like an organization that they have to like find somebody to do with it. And a lot of judges have kind of like steered away from that. And then community service is generally just like reserved for people who have simple like misdemeanor charges, right? And so, you know, that's kind of the thing, is that, you know, they look at restitution as like it's making the victim whole, right? So like Mr. Ware said, you know, he stole something, and picking up trash is not going to get, you know what I'm saying, these folks their skis, right? So they, you know, the way that they look at it, the way that the DAs are looking at this in court is that, you know, well, this company was deprived of, you know, these skis, so they could not sell these skis and make this money. You know, so, you know, if the skis were worth $1,500 and they're saying that that's what you should have paid for them, that's where your restitution is going to come in, right? If you break into somebody's house and then they say, you know, you've got to pay restitution because when you kicked in somebody's door to break in somebody's house, they had to repair their door, and they brought in their bill and said that this is how much I had to pay in order to have my door fixed because this is what somebody did, you know, that came into my house, that broke into my house and stole my stuff. My stuff that they sold cost this amount of money, you know what I'm saying, and either it's in the pawn shop or either they've sold it somewhere else, I can't get it back, but this is what it is, right? And so they can tack on that restitution as well too. Now, you know, what we used to argue in court was that if somebody is getting jail time, there's no point in monetary restitution. But I mean, that's just what we did. That's not what every attorney does across, you know what I'm saying, this state. Like I had a client that had a private attorney, and he had like a white collar offense, and he had to serve jail time and still had to pay a lot of money when he came out of jail on, you know what I'm saying, this restitution. So, I mean, you know, and then, I mean, we've seen situations where there's restitution and, you know, it's been so long and businesses are closed, and then how do you, you know, pay that restitution? You know, maybe the individual who you broke into their house, you know what I'm saying, like maybe that individual has passed away, and who does this restitution go to? So, I mean, you know, there's a lot of different things, and so we try to bring in these different fact situations and these different scenarios instead of like pointing fingers and saying, well, they can't do this because you're not doing this, you know what I'm saying? We just try to bring in different fact scenarios and say like, this is what restitution is in reality, and not just like what they're thinking it is in their mind.
Yeah, it seems like they think, a lot of people think the restitution is for the victim, but I mean, all of my murders, the restitution, there was no victim, it was to the state that I owed money, and I was even charged per day for $13.50 for each day I was in jail, that I had to pay restitution.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, that, you know, that's just me making a mistake. It's not like I was a victim or anything else, you know.
Is that restitution or fines though?
Restitution? Yeah, I mean, the fines and fees were considered restitution.
Okay.
Well, sometimes no victim,
But sometimes in restitution, sometimes there is not a victim, right? The victim is the state. But we're talking about specific restitution, right? Like not the fines, not, because like some offenses carry mandatory fines, not, you know, jail fees from being in jail, because like some places do charge you every single time that you are in the jail. Davidson County is not allowed to do that anymore, but I do know that they still do that in Shelby County and a lot of other counties. But no, we're talking about specific restitution where it is ordered, like in your judgment, that you've got to pay restitution in the amount of X, Y, and Z, and sometimes they say who it goes to, and sometimes they don't.
And I can talk on this.
Hold on, I think Jacola had her hand up, and then Miss Sheila, and then we'll come to you.
Oh, you cleared up. I just wanted to say that court costs, fines, and restitutions are separate things, and that restitution was specifically what Keeda was saying. I'm good.
Miss Sheila, did you have something that you wanted to share? I'm sorry.
That's all right. I'm real funny. I'm real funny about that. I guess because I'm an educator, I can't stand when I started going into education in 1990, college was gone. Now everybody call everybody by their first name. I can't stand it.
Well, I mean, what would you like for me to refer to? All right, well, we can do that, Miss Godwin.
But anyway, I just like to say that the problem is we're not uniform. Everybody does what they want to do. there's no guideline. But yet they want to make guidelines on the bills to be specific. So my problem in regard to, example would be, and when a person gets out of prison and they're on probation or whatever, they have a certain amount to pay. If they get behind, there's nothing really written down. If something happens, then this, that, and the other. It should be more meat into them if they get behind, because situations causes them to get behind. I have someone right now that lives that my cousin is taken in, and he was in prison, and before he got out, he had to have a place to stay. So she agreed for him to come in the house and this, that, and the other. But the problem I have is the fact that he has not found a job. He's applied for money, assistance, have not gotten okay. He's been out since September, August. He's having a hard time. Sometimes he stays at the house, sometimes he doesn't. Sometimes he has money, sometimes he doesn't. He's basically been in the streets, like the homeless. And I have a problem with that. I have a problem with the fact that you, in any will, depending on the temperament of the probation officer, sometimes you can get, my probation is not paid by a certain time or my restitution is not paid, hey, you go violate it. It should be something in the law that keeps so many people getting violated like that. It doesn't make any sense. So we got to really demand that they need to be more uniform. Like you said in Davidson County, something that's different from all the counties and some different, because they write in what they want. We need to change that narrative.
Okay, y'all, I keep getting word that there are some confirmed reporters that's going to be at the press conference over here at 11:30. So we're going to get ready to head over there. If you want to speak at the press conference about, this bill, about, what it means to you, if you don't have your voting rights and, what, like being able to get your voting rights would mean, if you're working with someone, to get their voting rights, or if you're just an ally, and you just want to talk about, like the importance of people being able to participate in our democracy. So if you are wanting to speak at the press conference, please come and let me know, so that we can have that together. If not, then we can get ready and walk over there. Timothy is going to lead the gang over there, and Joe will be driving folks over there who have mobility issues, not the fact that your feet hurt and you can't walk.
So come up here.
But understand that, like, at this press conference, like, you will probably have, like, anywhere from like a minute and a half to no more than like 3 minutes to talk. So can't, and it's really not about, so that's why we talked earlier, this week about, making sure that when we're talking that we have our stories and things, clear and concise, and it's, for this moment right here.
So can you file for like indigent? Because that's what I did, and that's how mine got. That's what I was gonna say.
For court calls.
I guess, but it was from years ago, and what was so crazy, I went for a license for a towing job, and you have to go through taking the test, and they denied it, and I wanted to know why, and I went to the DA's office, and man, fuck them, went and found out that I had some fees, and then I went over to the county clerk's office,
But a lot of times, and I mean, because you're talking about Davidson County, but a lot of times when we get to these other counties, they don't waive fees, and not even fees, like they won't waive court costs. Or they may put somebody on a payment plan, which doesn't do you any good with trying to get, your voting rights back. So, and Davidson County is not great, but in the grand scheme of things, sometimes we do have it a little bit better than, other counties, but we're working with folks from all across the state of Tennessee. We know that, in Weakley County, they could care less about, waiving, court costs. They're not going to do it, right? Yeah.
Y'all ready to head to the Capitol? All right. Who's our line leader? Well, we know Joe's driving, but for those who's walking.
So, Mr. Ware, you wanted to speak?
I'm going with Joe.
Talk about it first.
Well, no, because we've got to get over there, and I just need to know, like, do you want to speak? Like,
It's going to be beneficial.
well, I mean, it's not, do you want to speak? I mean, anything that anybody has to say is going to be beneficial. So, I mean, you can talk about, the situation.
I done that one thing where I tried to write out my statement and I rewrote it today, so I tried to get it in my head.
But I mean, but you did just fine when you were talking to Lambert yesterday.
Did I? Because I get nervous and I didn't know.
I was gonna say, I think Blair can help you as a plaintiff, like Kate.
Yeah, so as we're walking over there,
Yeah, why don't we talk about it?
Okay, that sounds good.
Raheem, these people that go to the.
Timothy leading them.
Timothy, you our line leader?
You're supposed to be leading them over there to the courthouse.
We'll walk over there.
Okay, that sounds good.
Yeah. So, Keeda.
Yeah, 1:30, yeah. Okay. So that works.
Okay. And I'm about to go meet them, let's get off the shuttle so they all come in.
Well, okay, because I thought Raheem was.
Oh, is he with them?
Raheem and Timothy were.
He had to run to the run and take something to my car, but he's on his way back.
Which guy?
The one with the locks from DC.
Oh, yes, okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm just, did y'all see the shuttle when y'all was coming in to pick?
No.
Okay, that's who I'm trying to make sure that.
Do you want me to stand?
No, you stay in here, Jahal.
I gotta go get some water though. Oh shoot. Just like with the president bed. Okay. No, I'm just saying though, like the flag and stuff.
You know I got that on film. That's for my show.
For real?
Yeah. And tell them who you are.
I'm Jahar Bahar from
And why you
Nashville,
here?
Tennessee.
Why you here?
Gotta represent for my people.
Okay.
Yes.
The what? Let me see what's on your shirt.
Free to vote.
Okay.
You see it? Okay. That part.
That part. Excuse me. I know you don't talk much on camera.
Oh.
Why you here? Why you here?
I'm here to free the vote. I think that everybody should have a voice in our democracy.
Amen.
So good morning, and thank you all for coming to our press conference. My name is Keeda Haynes. I am the Senior Legal Advisor at Free Hearts, which is a nonprofit organization that is here in Nashville, Tennessee. We do statewide organizing all across the state of Tennessee in 95 counties, and we are here today to talk about our Free the Vote convening and about our current bill that we have. And so our bill that we have right now, where Karen Camper, she is the House sponsor, and Senator Ackberry is the Senate sponsor, and it's HB 1256. And so as amended, because there's an amendment to that, and so here in Tennessee, we have 471,000 folks who can't vote because of a conviction on their record. And there are a lot of barriers to be able to vote here in the state of Tennessee, particularly that you have to have paid off your court costs. You have to have paid any restitution if you have restitution. And you have to be current on your child support, and of course you have to finish your sentence. So what we're hoping to do with this bill is to remove some of those barriers. And the barriers that our bill would address would be removing court costs, and so that would no longer be a barrier for folks to be able to get their voting rights back. And with the child support piece, while we weren't able to totally remove that, we've added language that would allow people who have arrearage payments to be able to get their voting rights as well too. And then, as most of you know, Tennessee does have certain offenses that are permanently barred from ever being able to get their voting rights. And so one of the things with our bill is that we would provide a pathway for those individuals to be able to get their voting rights once they've completed their sentence, and then there's a 3-year waiting period.